What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. It is Monday. It's that day again, and here we are, fresh off a glorious, glorious ass kicking. This is not the way I like to come on the show in front of everybody, and I will be completely honest with you guys. Today is going to be a harder episode for me than normal because I set the bar. Saturday, I absolutely set the bar for the biggest L I've ever taken sports betting. And the worst part, the absolute worst part for all of that for me is that 90% of all that extra damage was self-inflicted. Y'all know me. If you've been here with the podcast for a while, you're only going to get a few things from me, and that's going to be I'm going to tell you what I think, I'm going to tell you what I'm betting, and that I will be accountable for those first two things. So, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and talk through UFC 265. We're going to kind of recap the card, look over the bets, look for some opportunities where maybe we went wrong, reanalyze some of those spots, and determine if we had a good bet and it just didn't pan out for us, or if we made a bad bet and we made a mistake. And I will, little spoiler alert, we had a lot of those this week. So definitely looking forward. Yeah, Dog MMA, first one in the chat here. Week off, refresh, smash the next event. That's exactly the plan. We're going to have lots of chat interaction with everybody today since there's not a UFC card to talk about. I am sure that I will find some action on PFL and Bellator a little bit later in the week, but I did absolutely take the opportunity to rest my brain. I'm taking the break. I'm taking the chance because it's going to be a while. The end of the year is always crazy. Lots of big events coming up and stuff like that. So coming off a loss, the walk of shame does not feel good. I really want to sink my teeth into some sports gambling and win and get that monkey off my back and feel like I'm on the right path again. But realistically, the best thing for me probably is just to go ahead and take that breather, not study, not stress, not overwork myself trying to get it back. So that's exactly what I'm going to try to do. We got Muhammad Boston in the house, Nigel Lee, Joseph Nassenbaum, Grateful Dude, Uncle Weezy. What's up, buddy? Michael Lunn Day, thank you very much, my friend. I appreciate that. Ryan Grant, lots of kind words in the chat. You guys are all the OGs. Dan Goldstein, I'm just Drew, Rex Lee, the usual suspects in here. I appreciate you guys, and I definitely appreciate the positivity. There hasn't been a whole lot of that running around for me recently. So, yeah, we definitely much needed. I appreciate all of you guys showing up today. And hey, you know what? It's got to be said. I haven't said it for a while. You guys know I'm not a professional sports bettor. This is not my day job. I'm an MMA degenerate. And I tell you it, I am betting. You can do with that information what you will. If you choose to ride with me, then hey, I'm going to be cheering for you right there for that ticket, same as you. And you know what? If we go down, I lost my money too. So, it's not like I'm selling you something and hanging you out to dry. Let's talk about UFC 265. All things considered, it was actually a great card. I actually really, really enjoyed UFC 265 from a fan perspective. And I think something that I really need to work on, to kind of iron out my betting strategies here is I need to learn the art of the pass again. We got the shirts going, we got the fireball and popcorn. We used to be able to just skip on over fights that didn't deserve a bet. And I'm not sure what happened. Honestly, it might have been that high watermark. It might have been that night that we just absolutely crushed that I went, you know what? I can bet every single fight on the slate. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. I might have gotten a little too big for my britches and fired way too much on UFC 265. That card was so simple. I know a lot of people who made a lot of money and they kept it clean. And that's what really was the key to success. I think some of the more garbage cards, the ones where there's a lot of value, a lot of hidden spots, that's where we can take some shots. That's where we can fire a little bit more often. But especially the big UFC pay-per-view cards, I have a history of just getting my ass handed to me on the big UFC pay-per-view cards. And I think a lot of that is that these fights are truly competitive and the lines are indicative of a 50-50 outcome. So if you end up on the wrong side of a lot of those coin flips, you're just dead. You're just going to give away a whole lot of money, and there's no reason for us to necessarily bet those unless we actually feel like we have an advantage. So I'm going to work on that moving forward. That is definitely the goal. Eric Williams saying never lose faith. Don't worry about that, Eric. I definitely won't. That's you're only going to get perseverance from me, buddy. The show is not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I will definitely be betting and doing my very best to iron out the kinks in my game and get back on track here. The nice thing is we're not negative units or anything for the year. We had a little bit of cushion, a little bit of wiggle room to work with. So even though I don't like dropping 11 units in a single night, that's not something I want to make a habit of doing. It could be a whole lot worse. If we were only up 8 units and it put us down in the negative for 2021 or something, that would have really been a kick in the dick. SD Cruiser in here slamming Gane against Francis. Woof. Yeah, I'm going to have to think long and hard on that one. You guys know I've been all Team King Francis over here. So when those two face off, it's going to be a very interesting fight. And I'm definitely going to have to do my homework. My guy Rockstar Z in the chat. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. You know how this feels. You've been in this seat before, taking a big old fat L and then having to sit in front of everybody and talk about it and, go through your mistakes. It's not easy. Not a lot of people do it, and there's a reason not a lot of us do it. So appreciate the kind words and appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, John Garcia, the reverse sweeps happened, buddy. And actually, this was not a complete reverse sweep if you were paying attention. I had a couple of bets on the early preliminary card, the first 2 bets of the night, actually, that cashed in. And I thought I was on for a hot night. And then, of course, the big hammer of the night, which was the fight doesn't go the distance in the main event, minus 190. That one hit. So it wasn't a true reverse sweep. It was a bad night, but I definitely didn't get swept. Yeah, Nigel Lee, sometimes it's better to pick spots. Absolutely right. And that is kind of more what I'm talking about. Like I said, I do better on those smaller cards where there's a lot of hidden value, little chinks in the armor cracks where unknown fighters or less popular fighters can pop up and pull the upset. And I think I don't have a problem, doing smaller unit shots and firing off a little bit more often on those. But on these bigger cards, yeah, I just need to be more careful. Yeah, Coke, Penne by sub and Luque by sub. Those are glorious spots. Absolutely beautiful. And you know what? Let's just start talking through the card. I'm just going to go through the card because I want to talk about this. The Luque sub spot was a one I totally missed and absolutely should have gotten there on, regardless of the side that I was on, just by the number. So we'll definitely talk about that. And Bryce, how hard was it not to bet on Derek Lewis? Honestly, it wasn't that hard. I was all gone all the way, and I bet the under the fight doesn't go the distance just because the chance of Derek Lewis landing a bomb. So what was really hard not to do was pull out my life savings and put it on fight doesn't go the distance to chase my losses on the night. That's what was really hard. So first fight of the night, we had Johnny Munoz taking on Jamie Simmons, and this is a spot where it was Munoz inside the distance all day. That was the move. Munoz inside the distance. I was not the only handicapper on that spot. A lot of people made a lot of good money on that spot. And I sided with being a little bit safer. I decided to go ahead and go fight doesn't go the distance. That was the easiest spot maybe on the entire damn card, was that this fight was simply not going to go the distance. It was exactly like the main event. So paid minus 150. Didn't get a plus line, obviously, and I always love getting a plus line, but absolutely worked out, cashing one easy unit to get ahead for the start of the night. So good going there. Johnny Munoz by submission was always the move, but he scared me in that first round, coming out slow and methodical. Definitely showed some improvements in his striking game. Gave me a little bit of a scare thinking the whole thing was going to be slow paced and we were not going to end up getting a finish. But it came through. So good to know there. We had Victoria Leonardo, Melissa Gatto, and that was one where I decided to throw on Gatto at the last second. This was one of those spots where it had been eating me alive all week that Gatto was somebody the UFC had something for, somebody the UFC liked, and somebody I absolutely should be betting here in this spot. Victoria Leonardo almost seems like a bit of a throwaway from the UFC, and the fact that Gatto is in redonkulous shape, maybe getting a little extra salt and pepper on those muscles, I think she should have been a much bigger favorite. And those big question marks of she hasn't been in the game for some time, so we got to wonder, what kind of shape she's in or anything like that. Those are really the big questions that I had, and I was like, man, I'm just going to go for it. So happy to cash a bet there, and we did have the submission prop, which of course, she TKOs the chick by breaking her arm. So holy shit, man. I guess we should have just gone inside the distance. I'm more happy with the money line, obviously, at a pick'em price tag, because she could have won the decision if Victoria had hung in there. It was deep into, I guess it was between rounds 2 and 3 that the doctor actually stopped it. So if we had gotten into round 3 and the arm hadn't been broken, it probably ends up going all 3. So glad I hit that money line. Big shout out, DFS by the numbers, with the donation here, giving back to the home team, Pub Sports Radio. I appreciate the kind words, buddy. I see that you picked up all the units that I dropped. So if y'all didn't see, DFS by the numbers had his biggest night of his life at UFC 265. So shout out to my guy, my brother here at Pub Sports Radio. Congratulations on the big night, man. I'm glad that if I was going to drop all those units, I'm glad you picked them up, because at least they're going to a good home that way. And I appreciate the support. We have definitely will bounce back. Just going to put some elbow grease on this bad boy and pick our spots a little better. John in here saying that Leonardo's too frail for the UFC. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. You know, broken bones in this sport, they happen. And like I said, Gato, she's a beast. This chick is a monster. And the way she was coming after her and landing some of those big shots, like that was, I don't know if it was a fluke or if she's just that kind of a monster, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Gato does next. I don't think Victoria Leonardo is long for the UFC. She'll probably get one more fight back after snapping her arm. The UFC is pretty good about those kinds of things. They'll be like, you know what? That's not really the way you want to lose your last fight in the promotion. So come on back. We'll give you one more. And yeah, they should give her at least one more shot. Nigel, that was maybe the funniest meme out of 265 I think I've ever seen. Vicente Luque with the reversal Uno card. I absolutely died watching that. Absolutely died watching that. No, Trant saying the studies show when Die Hard takes his shirt off, the ratings go down, and that's probably true. I got to work on this dad bod these days. The kid's headed off to school, so maybe I'll get a little more time to work out in. All right, getting caught up here on the chat. Buffo on the beat, my guy in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Francis, already the underdog, and that makes sense. I mean, we're going to get a big move of recency bias just because of what Cyril has been looking like recently. And y'all know me. I mean, Francis Ngannou as an underdog, it's hard to go wrong with that bet, regardless of the outcome. You know what I mean? That's just a good spot. Yeah, Hayden Simone telling me never fade Luque tramp stamp. I mean, if I'm gonna get it, I don't think I'm gonna get it there. Just saying. So next fight of the night was Miles John Anderson Dos Santos. The only thing I did, thank goodness on this one, I didn't get sucked in. The only thing I did was sprinkle that round 3 on Anderson Dos Santos. And honestly, the way the fight played out, I couldn't be happier with that bet, just because the number was good. Anderson Dos Santos was down 2 rounds. You knew he was going to go for the kill, go for the finish, and he was doing everything he could to try to close the distance and get in there. So I really don't even hate that one, but I called the right round, wrong fighter. Miles Johns looked absolutely incredible, and the fact that he was able to crank it up to 11 when he got into the 3rd round. You know, I've talked about the gas tank issues for Miles Johns. That might be a narrative that we have to put to bed. The fact that he came in with such a clean game plan and just absolutely chipped apart at Anderson Dos Santos, ruined his legs, and then had the gas in the 3rd round to step on it and go for that kill, go for that finish. His striking is improving, leaps and bounds. His fight IQ was on a new level. I mean, no complaints. No complaints about Miles Johns right now. Lost a little, 3rd round sprinkle on Anderson Dos Santos, but didn't lose a ton on it. So fine with that. Totally fine with that outcome. Here's where the night really started to shift on me a little bit. Manel Cape taking on Ode Osborne. Boy. So first off, I told y'all I was trying out something a little bit new. I was taking the approach of underdogs that I felt should be favorites. You know, that night that we absolutely destroyed, I hit several underdogs for 2-unit shots because I felt like the lines should have been reversed. And I thought, you know what? Why don't I just try that as a standard? Why don't I say anytime I look at a fight and I go, the underdog should be the favorite, I'm going to hit that spot for 2 units. Just blanket, do it. If I feel like the underdog should be evens or the favorite, I'm going to put 2 units on it and see what happens. That's what I tried out at UFC 265. And I will first off let you know, I regretted that decision before the fight started. I looked at my card and I looked at how much money I had invested, and I just went, you know what? This is way too much exposure on one night. Just end of story. I was like, this is already a mistake. But at that point, we're already locked in. We're already there. Had to kind of ride it out and just see what happened. Obviously turned out to be a big mistake, but we'll get into that. This is the one spot where I was very happy with my 2-unit investment. It was the first one that I made. It was the first line that I bet. I beat the line move. Ode Osborne looked like an absolute monster at 125. He was slicker on the feet than Manel Cape. He was sharper. He had better hands. He was getting the better of Cape in the striking engagements. He was getting out before he got hit with anything. I mean, Ode Osborne looked like a monster in round 1 against Manel Cape. Very, very, very frustrating the way that fight ended because we were this close to getting to round 2. And I think round 2 breathes new life into Ode Osborne. He just continues chipping away and being smart the way he was in that spot. But Manel Cape throws a giant flying knee, which this is MMA, folks. That is the slam dunk of our sport. And when they fire up shots like that, if you get hit, sometimes you're just dead. That's the variance that we talk about. The shot did not land cleanly. When you go back and you rewatch it, the official dove on top of the fighters to go ahead and stop it, realized, oh shit, it's not over. I shouldn't stop it, but it was too late. He was already falling on top of them, so he waves the fight off. Ode Osborne's eyes never rolled back. Ode Osborne was working his ground game. He was starting to intelligently defend himself. He really just never had the opportunity to defend himself. He was not out. The shot did not land cleanly. He was not unconscious. His eyes didn't roll. This is one of those spots where the best example, the very best example I can use is Michael Chandler and our current champion, Charles Oliveira. There's a lot of people, and boom, right on cue, my buddy Boston Nick MMA. You're exactly the person that I'm talking about, man. He says, Ode was done. Sorry, bud. This is the issue, buddy. Ode Osborne was not done. If we let that fight continue in that spot, there's 2 things that might happen. Ode Osborne fishes for an underhook. He gets his guard back, slows the pace of the fight down. We start round 2, and then we see what happens from there. Or Manel Cape continues to pound him into oblivion because he really was hurt, and he ends up winning via TKO just a couple seconds later. This was an early stoppage. And these ones hurt as sports bettors because, like I said, the best example we can use is Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira, because that fight everyone said was over. I said it was over. I thought Oliveira was dead, and then he came out round 2 and he beat that ass. So yeah, that's a spot you just got to let go. That's a spot that you've got to allow the fighter to give himself just a second to go ahead and defend himself. So unfortunate. Yeah, Adrian Simone, I completely agree. The ref just didn't even give him the opportunity. But that's MMA, folks. That is MMA. That's the sport that we love. That's the sport that we bet. It looked bad. It really looked bad. So I can't necessarily fault the official for thinking it probably was over. So unfortunate, but this is one of those spots where that wasn't a bad bet. I would line up and make that bet if they rebooked that fight again tomorrow, and I'll bet you the line would be a lot closer than it was because everybody saw just how improved Ode Osborne was and how much slicker he was than Manel Cape on the feet. If it wasn't for the variance finish, I think that fight goes very, very differently. So not a spot that I'm going to sit too badly on. I like my bet. I think the bet was fine in that spot. Other people may disagree, but, you know, I get it. Yeah, there's a couple of different viewpoints in the chat. Some people siding, saying that, you know, it should have been stopped. His arms were in the air. He didn't get a chance to defend himself. The knee looked bad. Yeah, and that's the problem. That's the problem. We never really are gonna know. You know what I mean? We're absolutely never going to know. And Cowabunga on the opposite side saying if they rematch, I'd hammer Manel. Well, I would let you do that, buddy. I would absolutely let you do that, and I would take Ode again because the knee was literally the only thing that Manel Cape did the entire fight. So if you want to line up behind the guy that needs a flying knee and a referee to step in too early to get the win, that's fine. I'll take the value on the, you know, plus 150, plus 160 on the other side all day. Plus, yeah, let's not forget about the missing by 4 pounds and then talking shit afterward after taking a significant advantage in the fight. That whole thing just pissed me off. Anyway, so next fight up, Karolina Kowalkiewicz taking on Jessica Penne. This is a spot that I swore up and down that I was never going to put my money anywhere near on this podcast. Last week, I said if there was a fight I was not going to touch, it was going to be this one. And I was a little steamed after the Ode Osborne fight. I'm going to be honest. I was a little steamed. So I threw 1.4 units on Karolina Kowalkiewicz at minus 140. And that was just one of the worst decisions I've ever made. I put out a PSA right after that being like, hey, don't chase, kids. This right here is exactly why you don't chase. Cost myself an extra 1.4 units there for no reason, because as much as I, had a slight lean to Carolina, I also talked about how sometimes you just don't get that fire back. And I think that she completely lost that fire. So a massive mistake on my part. Just got frustrated. I'm a gambler. And yeah. Really, really frustrating situation for me to just piss my money away there. So that wasn't good. Razor Sharp Picks in the house. What's up, buddy? How you doing? Yep, Nigel, you did. Absolutely did. And it was a 1-800-GAMBLER fight. But unfortunately, I was not clear in my mental state. That was I was the 1-800-GAMBLER guy right there in that moment. Unfortunately, that was absolutely me. Looking through the chat here. Yeah, Nick, buddy, she probably should just stay retired. Honestly, she absolutely should stay retired after that. Where did that comment go? There was one that popped up and then I lost it in the flood. I wanted to go ahead and address it. Oh, Bryce D. Cape's a cheater, but Roe isn't. So the difference between those is that I believe Roe is too big for his weight class. I don't think that Roe actually, and now this is all headcanon for me. This is all what's going on up in here. I actually think that Roe needs to move up a weight class. If you look at the pictures, him standing next to his training partner, Jared Gooden, they fight in the same weight class. Roe's like a foot taller than Jared Gooden is. I think that's a legitimate situation where he is too big and needs to move up. And if he misses weight again his next fight, the UFC will force him to do so. Menno Cape has made this weight class on repeat a million times, and he never has an issue doing it. So the fact that he came in at the maximum over when his back is against the wall after a couple losses, needs a big win to get on track, yeah, that's a little suspicious, my man. That's a little suspicious. So I will and if it turns out the Roe took the advantage, honestly, even though I made the money on him, I would roast him the same way. So I'm not defending anybody that misses weight and cheats in that way. I don't like it. Obviously, sometimes it's easy to cash tickets on it. So I'll take advantage of it from a betting perspective, absolutely. But yeah, in this particular spot, I'm pretty sure Cape did it purposefully. glad you like the take. Yeah. See, Danny knows what's up. What's up, buddy? How you doing? He was just massive. And Drew KK was awful. I mean, from the get-go, she was awful. As soon as that fight started, I went, that's a mistake. Should not have bet that fight. And then compounding losses here on the next fight. We got Alonzo Minifield taking on Ed Herman. Huge Ed Herman fan. Y'all know that. Love my redheads. And what happened here was the line didn't budge. After round one, it was a competitive first round. Ed Herman was still plus 200 live. And I thought, you know what? Alonzo Minifield is notorious for slowing down. We know Ed Herman will do anything to win a fight. He's got that veteran savvy. I think he can outclass this kid on the backstretch. So I threw a live 1 unit shot on Ed Herman. Yes, I did count that live 1 unit shot against myself because I tweeted it. I wanted to make sure it got out there that I made the play. And that did not age well because 1 or 2 minutes into the second round, Ed Herman's calf swelled up like nothing I've ever seen. So that was very, very frustrating to have that happen because, Ed Herman, I think on 2 legs probably does win that fight, if I'm being honest. So frustrating because maybe just poor timing, not one that I feel overly bad about. It feels bad to not win the bet, obviously, but you never know. That was also frustrating because I did have my violence parlay going. It was a half-unit parlay, and this was the big chalky piece of it. Never thought this fight would see the judges' scorecards, especially when Ed Herman was on 1 leg. All it was going to take was 1 kick from Alonzo Minifield to end that fight, and he did nothing for 4 minutes in the 3rd round. So that was incredibly frustrating for that fight not to finish one way or the other from that side of things. And how did the doctors not just stop it between rounds? I mean, Ed Herman was very clearly on 1 leg. I mean, he was jumping to show that he was, still able to move, still in the fight, but it was really apparent that he was only doing it off of his left foot, not off his right one. So yeah, that was pretty frustrating because Ed Herman faked out the doctors and then they let the fight continue and Minifield did nothing to get the fight stopped after that point. So really irritating. Gave away another unit on that spot. I'm not going to say that one was a mistake. I think, honestly, that I probably would make that bet again because I do think that Ed Herman is the better of the two fighters, and I do think that Alonzo Menifield slows down notoriously. So I'm still really not hating that live bet spot there. Locker room in the house. What's up, buddy? Cashing the fight round 2 to start at minus 130. That is a great spot. A solid bet. You know, Alonzo Menifield is basically round 1 KO or bust, and not having to sweat rounds 2 or 3. That's a good move. That was a really nice bet. Really nice bet. Yeah, Biker Boy, his calf was trashed going into the second round, but the swelling wasn't there. I didn't see that he was struggling with it at that point, and I made the bet between rounds 1 and 2. So, you know, the swelling didn't start until round 2. I didn't see it as being that big of an issue. Again, maybe a mistake on my part. That's totally possible, but I didn't notice it. I was also drinking Fireball and throwing darts when I made that bet, in my defense. So, yeah. So the next fight was Vince Morales taking on Draco Rodriguez. I did take a nice hard pass on this one. I said I thought Vince Morales was the side. I felt it was too close to call. And of all the leans that I didn't actually pull the trigger on, or sorry, that I ended up pulling the trigger on, this is the only one that I would have actually hit. So that was even more frustrating to me because I'd pissed away a couple units on last minute additions, and then I didn't bet Vince Morales, which was the one I finally got right. It was actually a pretty good fight. Both guys obviously still need some work. They're both still very young. They need that seasoning, but I'm a huge fan of Vince Morales, and even though he's like 1-3 in his last 4, I've been talking nonstop about how much I like this kid and how I like his attitude and his instincts. So I love to see him getting this win, keeping his UFC roster spot, and I hope he makes some improvements. I would love to see more from Vince Morales moving forward. Dryer, thank you very much. Invisalign, that's what got these bad boys as straight and pearly as they are. I'm still working on that sponsorship. One of these days, Invisalign has got to get on board. I mean, I do a live stream and people compliment my teeth all the time. Like I gotta get like a code or something. People get a discount on the freaking Invisalign. I'm a walking billboard over here. Good fight. Liked Vince Morales, liked Draco Rodriguez. Another one that I kind of thought would get finished, but Draco Rodriguez apparently either has a better chin than we expected, or honestly, Amin Zahabi probably has a little bit more power than we expected. That's what's crazy. Connor Mack in the house. What's up, buddy? Love the baseball show that you and Ian are doing on a daily. That's actually one I try to tune in for every single day. Don't always make it, but I like it. Yeah, Austin Johnson saying Draco busted prospect Vince Morales is money. I agree with that for the most part. Hopefully Draco Rodriguez has some levels. I always cheer for people to do well. You know, I don't want anybody to go out like that, but you never know. He does not seem to be shining the way people expected him to. All right. I think we're pretty well caught up there. So, yeah, you know what? We got 120 live viewers. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me here on Monday on Pub Sports Radio. You guys are the OGs. You guys are the degenerates if you're chilling with me on this Monday night, because there are no fights we're talking about this week. I appreciate you still tuning in. I appreciate you still supporting the show, showing some love and positivity here. I do want to shout out my sponsors, Goat Capital Sports. If you do want any picks on any non-MMA sports betting that obviously the other guys here at Pub Sports Radio, some people can't tune in for all the shows, listen for 2 hours while they break down the card, which if you can, obviously free information, but if you can't, Goat Capital _ is the place to be. They have a very competitive pricing. They also have the rebate if you don't win with their picks on a weekly basis. So make sure you go check them out. Golf is really where they've been hot. I think they swept on Saturday, 5-0 on the picks. Had a solid day yesterday as well. So make sure you check them out. All right, moving along. Hey, Toby in the house. What's up? How you doing? So closing out the preliminary card was Bobby Green, Rafael Fazeev, and oh boy. So rounds 1 and 2 were the definition of close but clear. Like, Bobby Green was in that fight. Bobby Green was very competitive with Rafael Fazeev in both of those rounds. But it was also very clear that Rafael Fazeev had done more, landed the bigger shots, had hurt Bobby Green. He definitely won the first 2 rounds. I scored at 29-28 for Fazeev myself. Bobby Green unloaded on Fazeev in the 3rd round, and that was damn close to a 10-8 round, if you ask me. I know it wasn't actually a 10-8 round, but it was close. I think it was 29-28 for Fazeev. But the fact that there was a 30-27 scorecard for Rafael Fazeev was absolutely obnoxious. The guy actually made a tweet. He actually went out and defended himself on social media for that 30-27 scorecard. And props to the official for at least giving us his mindset, letting us know why he felt the way that he did. I don't agree with him whatsoever, but I do like the transparency. I do like hearing from the person who actually was out there saying those things. And damn, that round 3 Bobby Green sprinkle almost got there again. If you looked at Fazeev in those last 2 minutes, he had no offense. He was getting eaten alive, and Bobby Green was landing some big shots. So once again, I do not hate my Bobby Green round 3 sprinkle. It didn't come through for me, but that was an ass beating in the 3rd round. That was I was really rooting for Bobby to get the finish there. That would have been something if he had put away somebody as tough as Fazeev and as highly touted as Fazeev. But again, this is another one of those spots where I will line up and make that bet again tomorrow, because Bobby Green fought closely enough with Rafael Fazeev that fight was competitive. I mean, if one judge just thinks round 1 was close enough to give it to Bobby, all of a sudden we're on the right side and we had plus 240, I will absolutely line up on that value side every single time. Yeah. Steven in here saying 30-27, worst scorecard ever. Yeah, UFC needs to fire a judge. Unfortunately, Jack, the UFC has no control over the judges, and that's a good thing and a bad thing, because then you can't, fix fights for the UFC and things like that. But then they also have no control in situations like this to remove a judge that is that bad at what they do. So very, very tough situation, unfortunately. Yeah, 3rd round for Fazeev was a robbery. Fazeev slows down. Absolutely. One of these days, he's going to hit a peak where I think we might be able to take advantage of it, but he really is legit. I love Rafael Fazeev, and he is tough. Rob, what's up? Thanks for hanging out on the show. Fazeev absolutely was gassed in the 3rd round. He does that almost every single fight. He's just got so much muscle on his frame. Austin saying that one of these days, Bobby Green will cash that 3rd round prop. One of these days. Absolutely one of these days. And yeah, John, Fazeev had better work on that cardio, because some of the higher ups, like imagine Dustin Poirier. I mean, you're not going to kill Dustin Poirier in the 1st round or 2. He will murder you in the 3rd if you slow down. So absolutely something Fazeev needs to get in check. Michael Lunday, if it was a 5-round fight, Green absolutely wins. Absolutely wins. I mean, if it's a 4-round fight, Green probably finishes him. Like this is classic Diaz territory, right? We just needed one more round. Just needed one more round. All right. So that is the preliminary portion of the card. We're going to recap the main card part of this here, but I do want to take just a quick second. I don't get many of these break weeks. We are so busy doing UFC every single damn weekend that honestly I fall behind, and there's a lot of you out there that really support the show and support me personally. I don't ever charge anybody for anything, so when tips and donations roll through, you guys have no idea what that means for me. Like I appreciate each and every one of you that tip or donate just because you like the show, or if I got you on a play that you cashed on. Like, it's amazing, it's incredible, and I love it. So I do just want to shout out the names of those people real quick here, because it's been piling up on me. I've been meaning to get to it, and we just don't have time. When I've got an awesome guest that wants to talk to you about sports betting and is a much better sports bettor than I am, I don't want to waste their time doing something like this. But today's a perfect opportunity for me to shout some people out that mean a whole lot to me. So Christopher Oldham, Christopher Drobny, Sean White, Carter Hirschberg, Tony Barnett, Andrew Gondek, Mike Seville. We've got Johnny Quid, Dylan Kraus, Niles Deering, David Fink, Taylor Sperry, Josh Goodman, James 1141, no last name on that one, so I want to make sure I put the handle out there just in case, so you don't feel like I didn't read you off here. Daniel Kraus, Miguel, no last name on that one. Again, you know who you are, buddy. John Coons, we've got Stephen Baldwin, Jason Comtois, Taylor Holtz, Alex Smith, Santiago Bonelos Jr., Ari Shanigram. I always want to say Sharingan. That's my Naruto nerd coming through. When I see your last name, Ari, I always want to say Sharingan. Daniel Gray, Thomas Holloway, Regis Velasco, Johnny Odinas, Richard Gall, Jason Kumtwa. I already said you got in there twice, you sneaky bastard. And of course, the OG of OGs, Michael Lunday, who's in the chat with us here today. Really appreciate each and every one of you guys. I know there's a couple people asking, am I going to do a Bellator breakdown? Am I going to do a PFL breakdown? I'm not going to do a breakdown. The show, actually, we're going to talk about the main card, maybe talk about a couple hot topics, answer any chat questions you guys have, and then we're going to wrap this show up. But I will be tweeting, obviously, later on this week when I've got a little bit of time, when I've let my brain rest and relax. I'm going to target a couple fights, and I am going to look for some opportunities to make some cash this weekend, even though there's no UFC. So follow me at Die Hard MMA Pod. Make sure you check out the Twitter handle. I will make sure I put anything out there if I end up pulling the trigger on any bets. Jared, you made it. You're here. You're only 30 minutes late, but it's okay. So the main card portion of UFC 265, Song Yadong taking on Casey Kenny. This was a mistake, folks. This was a mistake on multiple levels. So first and foremost, I talked to you all last week about how we do not pronounce fighters dead, right? We just don't do that anymore. We don't talk about a fighter just having no chance and just being shot and it being over for them, especially a young fighter like Song Yadong. And that's exactly what I did. You know, when I watched this tape, when I looked back at it, when I watched Kenny and how they matched up, I did edge Kenny. I did think that Kenny was slightly better. I did think that Kenny was slightly faster. I thought he'd mix in the takedowns better. I absolutely favored Kenny in this fight, but what I really messed up on was I said that I felt like Song Yadong had peaked. I said that I felt like we'd seen the final version of Song Yadong, and that was the biggest mistake I could have made. Counting out Song in this spot was just a massive mistake, and Aiden Simone, absolutely. He was better everywhere, and that's what I didn't give the kid a chance. So then I did go ahead and throw 1.15 units on Kenny at minus 115. And that wasn't a good bet to make because I simply said Kenny's going to win. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to tell you that's how you bet, that there's no value on a losing ticket, blah, blah, blah. We've all heard it a million times. And if you just pick the winner, you're good to go. Well, that's what I did here, is I picked the fighter I thought was going to win. And obviously I was wrong, and that did not turn out well. So definitely need to not do that anymore. Peter Cirillo, what's up, buddy? How you doing today? Yeah. No, and that's headline. I know. It sounds so stupid in hindsight. Like, it just one of the top 10 dumbest things I've ever said live on this podcast was that that Song Yadong had peaked at 23 years old. Like, just obviously the kid's got room to grow. Obviously. So big mistake on my part. And somehow we almost robbed the damn thing. We did get a split. And I thought for a second we were actually going to get an absolute robbery for Casey Kenny. Unfortunately, didn't go that way. And big mistake. So I'm done with that one. Absolutely done with that one. It was a bad bet. It was another closely lined fight that we just didn't need to have action on. There was one angle on this fight, and shout out to Headline again. Fight goes the distance. Another one of like the biggest locks on the card. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, is that if you played this card intelligently, there were a couple spots that were just dead to rights. Angela Hill, Tisha Torres goes the distance. Song Yadong, Casey Kenny goes the distance. Main event does not go the distance. First fight on the card does not go the distance. Like, those four spots, you could have mixed and matched and parlayed or laid all the chalk on those you wanted to and made a killing at UFC 265. Instead, I got fancy and I placed a 1-unit bet on Casey Kenny and lost it. Like, that's the thing that I need to learn to take advantage of. When it comes to the sides, when it looks too easy, usually it is. If you've got a fighter that's just begging to be bet, a lot of times that's a trap. A lot of times it doesn't turn out the way you expect it to be, and that's kind of exactly what this was with Casey Kenny. But spots like fight goes the distance, that ain't a trap. They're making you pay for it. You got to lay minus 250 for that, and that's happening. So yeah, that's spots we need to be more perceptive of and look out for moving forward. Tisha Torres taking on Angela Hill. Another spot where I tried my wrong person favored. Took a 2-unit bet on Overkill Hill, someone who I believed should have been the favorite in this spot, someone who I believed was being discounted. And like I said at the top of this thing, the mistake was making it a 2-unit play. The mistake was believing that I should just blindly be betting spots like this for 2 units, because honestly, in hindsight, Everything is clear. Tisha Torres was very much the right side, and props to any of you that were smart enough to go ahead and put it on her, because her striking, her movement, the elusiveness, that was something we've never really seen from her. She has obviously improved leaps and bounds, and Angela Hill looked stuck in the mud against Tisha Torres, something that we've never seen before. She has never struggled to touch somebody the way that she struggled to get a hold of Tisha Torres. So that fight just didn't play out anywhere near what I had expected. But if I have a time machine, if I get to go back and I get to study the tape and I get to watch over it and look at the recency bias, I still would have bet Angela Hill. So going into this fight, I still would have made that same bet. Was it a good bet? No. No, in hindsight, it was not. But that's because of Angela Hill's offseason improvements that I'm sorry, not Angela Hill, Tisha Torres. That's because of Tisha Torres' offseason improvements that we didn't have a chance to see. After seeing the fight, yeah, Tisha Torres was definitely the side. I should never have bet on Angela Hill, but I would have done it anyway. I would have absolutely put 1 unit on Angela Hill and lost it. I just don't like losing 2 in that spot. Yeah, so John, Angie didn't look near her best, and honestly, I think we have to credit Tisha Torres. We have to give that credit to Tisha Torres for making her not look good. That was not Angela Hill not looking good, because she was in peak shape. She was in prime condition. She was ready to go. And the few times that she did land on Tisha Torres, you could see there was a power advantage. You could see that Tisha Torres did not like getting hit, but she had no answers. She just had no answers for the movement of Tisha Torres. High-level IQ, high-level game plan, and big improvements from Tisha Torres. That's exactly what happened in that fight. Yeah, shout out to anybody that did back Tisha Torres. That was a great spot. Nigel Lee saying, picking spots, Munoz Johns, -104 for 10 units. Damn, son. Nigel Lee had himself a night. Yep, good call. Good call on both of those. Congratulations, buddy. I'm glad to hear you cashed in hard on it. Very big deal. Yep, absolutely. Let's get back on track, right? We're going to make some money. We're going to get it back. Don't worry. We're still positive for 2021. We were able to give a little bit back after, 2 weeks ago or so. Oh, Toby, Jan versus Torres next. I like that. I like that fight. That is some solid matchmaking right there. All right. So the next fight, welterweight, Michael Chiesa, Vicente Luque. What do I say at this point? I hope you all saw the picture I tweeted out of my new tattoo. Never, ever fade Vicente Luque. I made it a rule. I ignored the rule. And again, that was 1,000% my own damn fault. Now, in this case, Michael Chiesa having the exact advantage where the one hole in the game of Vicente Luque existed, having the size and the strength advantage, and how easily he got that takedown when he wanted it. I don't necessarily know that this was a bad bet. It was a bad bet in the way that, once again, I put 2 units on it instead of just making it a 1. And I should just never be betting against Vicente Luque to begin with, because this is the guy that you do not count out. What I really messed up on was the fact that Michael Chiesa, when things don't go his way, gets submitted. We've seen it time and time again. Vicente Luque has a very underrated ground game, and he submits everybody. When he gets the chance, he is no problem choking you the fuck out. And I know a lot of people, shout out to my guy, UFC Bro Picks, Justin. He hit Vicente Luque harder than anybody, and he also hit the 12-1 sub prop. Good friggin' bet, buddy. Like, I'm so happy you had that and you hit it hard and got paid, because that was a damn good spot. And this is where I need to be better looking at it from all angles, because once again, I thought Michael Chiesa was the side, and that's fine. And getting Michael Chiesa as an underdog, that's fine. Should have been a 1-unit bet, not a 2-unit bet. Okay? But what I should have seen was the 12-1, the 10-1, even it was all the way down to 7-1 in some spots. But the Vicente Luque submission prop should have been an auto bet for all of us. Like, we all sniffed out the Gane by submission bet. We all sniffed out the fact that that was way more live than the odds implied. But not many people sniffed out the Vicente Luque submission prop. And that's what we should have looked into. That's what I absolutely should not have missed. Because even if I had a bet on Chiesa, I should have sprinkled Luque by submission as a hedge, because that's the spot. You know what I mean? So yeah, that was props to Luque bettors, props. I'm never betting against that man ever again. I will either be betting on Vicente Luque or passing. If I think his opponent is going to win, I'm just not going to bet it. That's how this works from now on, because I broke that rule this week and definitely paid for it. One thing that really frustrated me about this, though, is Michael Chiesa came out online and he said that he cracked. He fully admitted that he cracked under the pressure. He put himself under way too much pressure and broke because of it. And that's something as a Chiesa backer that's hard to hear. I mean, obviously, when it comes to UFC betting, just in general, that can happen. We've seen fighters break. We've seen fighters fade. It happens at the worst times. And it sucks to be on that side. It sucks to be on that side because that fight, maybe it plays out different. Again, kind of like the early stoppage with Ode and Kopp. We just don't know. If Michael Chiesa comes in the right headspace, maybe he does win that fight. Maybe he does. But we'll never know. We will never know. And it sucks to have a ticket on the guy that comes out like that. And the DJ out here saying that was just an excuse for the embarrassing loss. He gave all respect to his opponent. I don't know that it was an excuse. How often do you see a UFC fighter saying, I broke? Nobody says they broke. No one admits that they're breakable in professional MMA. I don't think that was an excuse. I think that was a heartfelt apology to his fans, to his backers. I really think that he absolutely believes that he broke himself. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. There's a lot of excuses you can make. Bad weight cut, family problems, issues going on at home. There's a lot of things you could say if you were trying to come up with an excuse. I broke. That's not something I take lightly. MMA locker room with me there. 2 units on Chiesa. Had to unfollow him after he lost. That's give him a week or two. Give him a week or two. You'll follow him back in a bit. Coke saying that Usman will smash Luque. Usman smashes pretty much everybody, right? Like, can't disagree too much on that one. If Luque faces Usman, maybe that's the bet against him that I make. But knowing that's just a guarantee that Luque becomes UFC champion. If I bet Kamaru Usman against Vicente Luque, the one spot that people won't give me shit for betting against him for, that's when Luque becomes UFC champion. So the next fight, again, this is where my shame just gets showed off publicly. I had a 2-unit bet on Pedro Munoz going up against legend Jose Aldo. And once again, very much similar to Luque. Now, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you saw the tweet that I put out, right? I was like, hey, you know what I need to do is do the I don't know shit bet, the insurance parlay, because I cannot get these fighters right. And if you parlayed Tisha Torres, Vicente Luque, Jose Aldo, and Rafael Fazeev, it's a 7-1 payout. And I was like, you know what? I should do that. And then I was like, yeah, no, I'm not going to reverse sweep those picks. I'm gonna hit one of them. Like I was pretty sure I was going to hit Angela Hill. I was like, you watch, if I lose all the other bets, Angie's going to be the one that comes through. And if I make this insurance parlay, I'm just going to compound all my losses. I'm just going to lose, all the money I would have made on the Angela Hill score. Sure enough, the insurance parlay freaking would have come on through, and that's exactly what I should have done. I missed something here with Jose Aldo, and I need to put Jose Aldo in the same category that I have Vicente Luque, because not only is he, now I've admitted that he looks like he's going to die on the scale, and then he inflates, and then he's just massive on fight night. I knew that, I expected that, I'm aware of that, and I still wanted to back Pedro Munoz. But what we didn't take notice of is that Jose Aldo actually seems to be perfecting this weight cut. It's getting easier for him, and he's looking better and better. And that was evidence the third round. Jose Aldo, I fully expected him to slow down, and I had the round 3 sprinkle on Munoz. I really thought that Munoz was going to shine in round 3, and that was really going to be his spot to put away Jose Aldo. Aldo's never looked better. Also looked phenomenal in the third round. So not only was I wrong about Jose Aldo, he is making it impossibly obvious that he's not done. This guy's a legend. I have to stop disrespecting him. And the size difference was so clear When they got in there, that 5-inch reach advantage, and I mean, he looked like he was a weight class bigger than Munoz once they actually got into the cage. He was doing some damage. I mean, I really thought he was going to put Pedro Munoz away at the end of that fight. So bad call on my side of things. Another fighter that I've disrespected and just continued piling up, betting against, hoping I'm going to catch them when they slip. Can't pronounce the fighters dead, folks. Can't pronounce them dead. And Jose Aldo sure as hell showed us that he is not out of time. He is still here, and he is a factor at the bantamweight division. I don't think he beats the upper class. Anybody that can take him into a 5-round fight, I will stick by my narrative of him getting tired and slowing down. Rematch with Jan, I expect kind of a similar finish. But in 3-round fights, I'm done with that. I'm done trying to take that angle. Yeah, Nigel Lee, Aldo versus Father Time. Aldo is starting to become the one fighter that seems to be able to take Father Time in a boxing match. Chosen one, Aldo is still hungry. Hell yeah, he is, and he proved that. He was calling out TJ Dillashaw, which, geez, like, they are trying to empty my wallet right now with that shit, because I think I'll be forced to bet a fighter like TJ Dillashaw in that fight. And I don't know if I should. You know what I mean? Like, I've been cheering TJ Dillashaw and his comeback and how amazing that he's looked and all that. Like, I've been that guy. I've been the guy saying that that's the case. And, geez, like, if they match up Aldo and Dillashaw, I don't know what to do with myself on that one. I might have to just force a pass on it because, wow, that would be a fight. I want to see that fight. I don't want to bet on that fight, but I want to see that fight. If it's a 5-round main event, maybe my opinion changes. But if it's a 3-round fight, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. You know what? It did kind of look like Pedro was a little starstruck, didn't it? It did look like he had some respect. I mean, once he was in the cage, he threw everything he had. He was looking for the kill. He was looking for the knockout. So can't really knock him. He tried. He gave it his best effort. He absolutely did. Yeah. There's your wallet stays empty. All right. Main event time, everybody. Real quick, we're going to take a short break to hear from our sponsors because, as always, we got the best crew in the business. And I never end up saying this. I always forget to shout it out, but make sure you use the promo code PUBSports. And Nigel Lee requesting for the food commercial. All right. We'll give it to him. We'll give it to him because they asked for it. I love the music. It just gets me chill. I'm ready to go. It's almost dinner time, by the way, so now everybody's nice and hungry. Let's talk this main event. We will wrap this bad boy up. Derek Lewis, Ciryl Gane. I mean, we talked about it. We brought the tinfoil hat out. We knew what was up here. They were absolutely setting this bad boy up. They wanted Ciryl Gane to get that extra shine. They wanted the champ versus champ, both guys holding up belts. You know, if you want to cause problems, Francis Ngannou, you go on and do your thing. We got a new champion now. We got an undefeated champion that everybody loves. That's exactly what happened. And we knew it was just a matter of time. The fight doesn't go the distance at minus 190 was the sweetest spot on the entire card. And that's kind of what I said. Keep it basic on these big cards, man. Keep it basic. Because while Ciryl Gane can jab the face of Derek Lewis for 25 minutes, no problem, we knew Derek Lewis couldn't take that. We knew Derek Lewis would force the issue. We knew eventually he was going to get hurt and try to get himself into the fight and overextend. And either Derek Lewis lands a bomb or Cyril Gane floods him and puts him away. Like it was just the easiest spot you could ever possibly get, and not even at a bad price. It should have been a -400, a -500, something like that shit. So easy score there. Wish I would have made less sprinkles over the course of the fight and just backed the dump truck up on the main event. I know a lot of people shout out to Jiki Bey. I'm surprised he's not in the chat yet, but the GOAT had massive bets on Cyril Gane inside the distance. I know guys like Rockstar Z, my guy, he had a straight bet, a big one on Gane inside the distance, as well as laying the chalk on the fight doesn't go the distance. Those are the way to go. That was the way to do it right there. I thought about adding Cyril Gane inside the distance to my card, but I really was just so in love with that fight doesn't go the distance that I was perfectly happy to just let that one run down and know that I was going to cash that last ticket, not have any questions, because my heart was cheering for Derek Lewis. I wanted him to land that bomb. I really did. So yeah, that's kind of a deflating into the night. Sucks to see Derek Lewis lose like that in his hometown, in front of his home crowd, in front of his family and friends. I mean, I'm sure that was terrible for him. I feel bad for the guy, but he's always going to be a fan favorite. He's always going to have a home in the UFC, and obviously it's almost impossible for anybody else besides the top two guys to handle Derek Lewis. So he'll have plenty of more days to come. Cyril Gane versus Francis Ngannou, though, let's just sit back and appreciate what kind of a monster fight that is going to be. Francis Ngannou is Derek Lewis on steroids. Like, he's bigger, he's faster, he's got better cardio, and he hits harder. So Cyril Gane's going to have to follow that same exact game plan, but do it to perfection to win. And I know that there's a lot of recency bias on Cyril Gane, so I don't think anyone's going to get a discount. Everyone's going to forget everything Francis Ngannou has ever done, and they're going to lay on Cyril Gane. So Francis Ngannou at dog money may be the move, because realistically, I don't think – I was surprised. I mean, I said a while ago that you're never going to get Francis Ngannou at dog money again, yet here we are. But it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a close one, and another one that we probably maybe just need to not bet on, because it's a very close fight. It's very similar to Lewis versus Gane, except I think that Francis Ngannou can actually survive what Cyril Gane has to offer. I do think that if Gane wins the fight against Francis Ngannou, it'll probably be by decision. It's probably because the fight goes over rather than him getting a finish like he did against Derek Lewis when Derek just kind of crumpled up. Francis showed against Stipe that he's more than willing to take a shot and stay in that fight and hang in there. So, yeah, I don't know. Gobe saying that Gane finishes Francis easily. I don't know about that, buddy. Nothing but love and respect, but I don't know about that. If he finishes Francis, it's anything but easily. Yeah, Lewis, stop moving so I can punch you. That's exactly how that fight played out. Calm throwing out their sparring footage of those two on YouTube. I got to go watch that. I know they played a clip of it. I think it was at the weigh-ins. Where was it that they played a short clip of it, and I saw a little bit. I would love to watch the rest of that. That's going to be very, very interesting. Gane is stronger than perceived. Absolutely he is. For sure. And the fact that he knows how to, strike with, 30-40% on his punches and keep that up for 25 minutes, like, just incredible what that guy does. I've said it. Gane is the man to beat Ngannou, and I won't be betting against Ngannou after the Stipe fight. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. I'm kind of on the opposite side, that I'm all team King Francis. I don't think anybody holds a candle to the man. Obviously, the rise of Gane was not something that I foresaw, so now my opinion has changed a little bit. Cyril is very much in the ballpark of Francis Ngannou, but I still lean with the king. Probably can't bet it. Facts, I'm backing Francis at dog money. No one's cracked Gane's chin yet. Yep. That's kind of the problem, is we've never seen, we've seen Francis lose. We got to see it, so we know how Francis loses. We still have yet to see Gane lose. How do you do it? Can anybody even touch his chin? I don't know. Gane's fight IQ is too high for Ngannou, maybe. F. Smith has got Ngannou in the fight. All right. Investigate everything. I appreciate you. I appreciate that. The hustle never ends. The work never ends. And that's, you know what? That's something that, I got to tell you guys, I work my ass off for you guys to bring you a fun, free show. I try to be more entertaining. I know there's a lot of shows out there. There's a lot of better sports bettors out there than me, but I try to be the most entertaining. I try to be the most fun. I feel like that's my niche, that's my angle, and I work my ass off to bring this show to you guys. So I appreciate it when you guys appreciate the hustle, because I really do my absolute best work for you guys. I really do. Genova saying Luke next time, my dude. Yep. Hey, yep. It's Luke or pass. Absolutely. Joshua got some PFL picks for the people. I'll just leave that up here for a second while I scroll through these other comments. And all right. Jasper, thanks for tuning into the show. I appreciate you being here. All right, everybody. That's it. That's the show. We got about an hour under our belts, so I'd say that's probably good enough for us at this point. I appreciate all of you for tuning into the live show today on Monday, even though there's no breakdowns, there's no chats. I'm sorry, there's been tons of chat. There's no fights. There's no breakdowns. Y'all are the best. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here doing this, and I absolutely mean that. You guys are absolutely awesome. And I don't know if many of you actually saw the quote that I put up for the introduction. I always try to put up, a funny quote, a quote from a show, something meaningful, or not so meaningful, but like, Dodgeball or Archer, something that makes you guys laugh before the show kicks off. Today was a half and a half. It's a quote from Dwight Schrute from The Office, one of the best all-time shows ever. I love that show. Hilarious. But he says, not everything is a lesson, Ryan. Sometimes you just fail. And I love that quote. I mean, for a show like The Office, every once in a while, they just hit you with a body blow. And that's one that got me, because that's what, sometimes, especially in sports betting, sometimes you just get your ass kicked. And we just got to get up. We just got to pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, keep moving forward. Y'all are awesome. I hope you have a wonderful week. Hit me up at Die Hard MMA Pod on Twitter. Give me a follow on Instagram or YouTube, wherever you feel like doing it. And you stay classy, San Diego. Have a great week, everybody. I will be tweeting my picks for PFL and Bellator when I decide to make them. And next week, we are back on the money train. We will have another show live here on Monday, same time, same place, with another badass guest for you, somebody who you all know quite well and generally tend to enjoy. Oh, right at the finish line, Don Murdoch with the dono. Appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate the donation. Helps keep the lights on here at Pub Sports Radio, who have done so much for me, all the other awesome personalities that they have. They're doing the Lord's work here at Pub Sports Radio. Love you guys. Have a wonderful week. That's all I got for you. Go eat some food. Let's roll.